Independence Hall. Independence Hall is the centerpiece of Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States. It is known primarily as the location where both the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution were debated and adopted. The building was completed in 1753 as the colonial legislature for the province of Pennsylvania. It became the principal meeting place of the Second Continental Congress from 1775 to 1783 and was the site of the Constitutional Convention in the summer of 1787. The building is part of Independence National Historical Park and is listed as a World Heritage Site. By the spring of 1729 the citizens of Philadelphia were petitioning to be allowed to build a state house. Independence Hall is a red brick building designed in the Georgian style. It consists of a central building with bell tower and steeple, attached to two smaller wings via arcaded hyphens. The highest point to the tip of the steeple spire is 168 foot above the ground. In 1753 Thomas Stretch erected a giant clock at the building's west end that resembled a tall clock. The 40-foot-tall limestone base was capped with a 14-foot wooden case surrounding the clock's face, which was carved by Samuel Harding. The giant clock was removed about 1830. The clock's dials were mounted at the east and west ends of the main building connected by rods to the clock movement in the middle of the building. The acquisition of the original clock and bell by the Pennsylvania Colonial Assembly is closely related to the acquisition of the Liberty Bell. By mid-1753, the clock had been installed in the State House attic, but 6 years were to elapse before Thomas Stretch received any pay for it. Demolition and reconstruction. While the shell of the central portion of the building is original, the side wings, steeple, and much of the interior are reconstructions. The original steeple was demolished due to structural problems in 1781. A more elaborate steeple, designed by William Strickland, was added in 1828. The original wings and hyphens were demolished in 1812 and replaced by larger structures designed by Robert Mills. In 1898, these were in turn demolished and replaced with reconstructions of the original wings. The building was renovated numerous times in the 19th and 20th century. The current interior is a mid-20th century reconstruction by the National Park Service with the public rooms restored to their 18th century appearance. During the summer of 1973 a replica of the Thomas Stretch clock was restored to Independence Hall. Two smaller buildings adjoin the wings of Independence Hall, Old City Hall to the east, and Congress Hall to the west. These three buildings are together on a city block known as Independence Square, along with Philosophical Hall, the original home of the American Philosophical Society. Since its construction in the mid-20th century, to the north has been Independence Mall, which includes the current home of the Liberty Bell. Liberty Bell. The lowest chamber of the original wooden steeple was the first home of the Liberty Bell. When that steeple was removed in the 1780s, the bell was lowered into the highest chamber of the brick tower, where it remained until the 1850s. The much larger Centennial Bell, created for the United States Centennial Exposition in 1876, hangs in the cupola of the 1828 steeple. The Liberty Bell, with its distinctive crack, was displayed on the ground floor of the hall from the 1850s until 1976, and is now on display across the street in the Liberty Bell Center. Legacy. Independence Hall has been used in more recent times as the staging ground for protests because of its symbolic history in support of democratic and civil rights movements. Building replicas. Several structures replicating or loosely inspired by Independence Hall's iconic design have been built elsewhere in the United States, with a majority in academic settings.